Invite viewers to post their location and local time, because it's always fun knowing where this little corner of the internet reaches. Then picture this, a man named Marcus standing in the middle of what he thought was his forever home's backyard, sun glinting off the maple leaves, laughter drifting up from his kids, completely unaware that a storm is already brewing across the street. He and Elena had worked their whole adult lives for this. Him grinding through endless hours as a graphic artist, her pulling shifts as a pediatric nurse that stretched into the small hours. And when they finally landed in Pine Ridge Estates, it felt like the payoff you see in glossy magazine spreads, only real. 3 bedrooms, big garage, sprawling yard shaded by a maple so big it felt like a protective giant. Tyler helped Marcus build the eternal bench under it, while Mia turned the branches into her fairy kingdom, stringing paper lanterns like little orbs of joy. The air often smelled of Elena's ribs mingling with roses she'd inherited from her grandmother in Georgia. Those flowers were more than petals. They were history in bloom. But peace, historians still argue whether it's truly a natural state or something that has to be fiercely defended. And here, peace had an expiration date. Across the street lived Mrs. Evelyn Harrove, widow in a crisp white colonial where lace curtains twitched with suspicious regularity. At first, Marcus thought it was just garden-variety nosiness, the kind that makes retirees peek through blinds when a new recycling bin appears. But soon came the notes. HOA rules highlighted in neon, left under his windshield without a name. Elena, ever the optimist, said maybe she was just a rule nut, but Marcus felt the coldness under the politeness, like someone tapping their watch at you during dinner. One note scolded Mia's chalk drawings as visual clutter, another flagged the mulch as non-eco-approved, and each one eroded the joy, made them hush laughter, made Marcus check over his shoulder while mowing like a man trespassing in his own yard. The turning point came when Mia waved her tiny hand at Evelyn one sunny afternoon, and Evelyn yanked her poodle back with a muttered, "We don't associate with those people." The phrase hung like smoke in the air, acrid and undeniable. From then on, the HOA became Evelyn's weapon of choice, twisting rules into a net of complaints about rowdy noises and invasive plants that were really just code for the family themselves. The pressure cooker tightened, Tyler dribbled his soccer ball quieter, Mia played closer to the house, and even the maple seemed to lean in protectively, as if bracing for impact. They had no idea just how hard the first blow would land. It landed on a Saturday, so perfect it could have been framed. The kind of morning where the grass smells greener, the sky feels bigger, and even the maple tree seems to hum approval. Marcus had just landed a creative director gig, a promotion that felt like winning a long, bruising chess match where every piece was stacked against him. So they decided to celebrate properly. No more tiptoeing, no more shrinking themselves to fit Evelyn's idea of acceptable. They laid out the plaid blanket on the eternal bench, ribs sizzling on the grill, corn glossed in butter, lemonade sweating in tall glasses. Tyler tossed a frisbee lazily, Mia arranged wildflowers in a jar, and an old R&B tune floated softly from the speaker, low enough that even the squirrels would have approved. That's when Evelyn crossed the street, arms folded like a general about to deliver bad news, face pinched as if the sight of their joy was a personal affront. She called it outrageous and disturbing the peace, gesturing toward the speaker like it was a stack of subwoofers at a music festival. Elena, her voice steady but trembling underneath, told her they were just having lunch. But then came those words again, "You people," and Marcus felt his pulse hammer. He told her firmly to go home, that it was their yard, their family. Evelyn didn't back down. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called not the police, but the HOA's patrol, 2 men in knockoff uniforms who roared up in a souped-up golf cart. They didn't ask questions, didn't look at the lemonade or the kids. They listened to Evelyn's frantic performance about threats and hostility, then announced the family was holding an unauthorized assembly. The younger one stepped onto their grass, inches from Elena, ordering her to pack it up. That was it. Marcus stepped between them, hand on the man's forearm to stop him. The guard yelled assault. The other grabbed Marcus, and chaos ignited. Evelyn filmed, her lens capturing only the shove, none of the provocation. Sirens sliced the air, real police this time, arriving with guns drawn, barking orders, ignoring Elena's pleas. In seconds, Marcus was on his knees in his own yard, cuffs biting into his wrists, Mia sobbing into Elena's shirt while Tyler froze. They hauled him away without hearing a word from his side. In holding, the fluorescent lights seemed to mock him, buzzing like faint laughter. Booked for assault and resisting, he spent 24 hours in a cell that smelled faintly of bleach and hopelessness, while Evelyn basked in the glow of her victory, her shaky video already climbing the neighborhood app with captions painting Marcus as a violent intruder. Historians still argue whether lies travel faster than truth, but in Pine Ridge that weekend, lies were breaking speed records. By the time Marcus made bail, money scraped from the savings they'd planned for a family trip, Pine Ridge had turned its back. Neighbors who once waved now crossed the street. Parents yanked their kids from the park when Mia and Tyler appeared. The comments under Evelyn's edited clip were a bonfire of suspicion. Knew they didn't fit here. Keep them out for our kids' safety. The house that had felt like a fortress now felt like a glass box under a magnifying glass, every movement subject to heat and distortion. But Elena wasn't about to let their lives be rewritten by one bitter neighbor. Late one night, under the maple's sprawling branches, Marcus whispered maybe they should sell, start fresh somewhere far from Pine Ridge. Elena squeezed his hand and said, "If we run, what do we teach the kids? That hate wins. No, we fight." That's when they called in Harlan, a veteran attorney with the kind of quiet stare that makes bullies blink. His investigator dug deep, past restraining orders against Evelyn from other minority neighbors, past HOA emails from President Thorpe priming patrols to watch the family from day one, even past Evelyn's online rants laced with dog whistles about keeping standards high. They filed a suit so thick it could have propped open a bank vault: defamation, harassment, housing discrimination, naming Evelyn, the guards, Thorpe, the HOA itself. And then they went public, leaking it all to a reporter friend. The headline exploded across news sites: Black Family's Suburban Nightmare, HOA Weaponized by Hate. Cameras swarmed the street. HOA board members ducked questions. Evelyn twitched behind closed blinds. At mediation, Evelyn sat flanked by her lawyers, lip trembling, eyes darting. Harlan read her own words back to her, then mentioned Elena's heritage roses and her complaint that they were too ethnic for the neighborhood. Evelyn snapped, shrieking about plots and his kind, her mask slipping entirely. Even her attorneys looked like they wanted to melt into their chairs. They folded. Massive settlement. Marcus's charges dropped. New anti-bias rules for the HOA. Evelyn forced to sell. That night, they stood under the maple again, holding each other, knowing they'd won but also knowing the victory carried scars. Tyler's trust in people frayed, Mia's innocence chipped away. Historians still argue whether justice truly heals, or if it simply marks the wound so it's never forgotten. The maple leaves whispered above them, like applause fading in an empty theater, as Marcus wondered if real peace might only live somewhere they hadn't found yet. Maybe the next chapter was still out there, waiting beyond Pine Ridge, or maybe it had been here all along, in their refusal to bend. The question would hang in the air a long time, carried on the breeze to anyone who'd listen. The yard is quiet now, in that way late summer evenings can be, with the faint hum of cicadas threading through the stillness and the last streaks of daylight spilling gold across the maple's bark. The grill sits cold, the bench empty, yet the air feels heavier than it once did, carrying memories both sweet and jagged. Marcus breathes in slowly, tasting the faint trace of roses still blooming at the garden's edge, their petals warm from the day's sun, their roots deep in the soil Elena refused to surrender. He looks at the house, not as a fortress anymore, but as a shelter that weathered a storm fierce enough to strip paint from the heart. The windows glow softly, silhouettes moving inside. Tyler sketching at the table, Mia lining up her dolls by the couch, Elena folding laundry with her hair pulled back, humming under her breath. These small motions hold a rhythm stronger than any verdict, any settlement. They are the quiet proof of staying. Somewhere out beyond the neighborhood's trimmed hedges and clipped conversations, the world turns, full of strangers they will meet and places they have yet to stand. But tonight, there is no court, no shouting, no threat rolling across the street. Only the layered song of insects and the rustle of leaves. The maple sways slightly, the branches rocking in a slow, forgiving arc, as though it knows the truth better than anyone. Some wounds close in silence, in patience, in the choice to keep living as though the shadows can't decide the shape of the light. And so he stays there a little longer, letting the night settle, letting the calm hold, until even the weight of memory feels lighter than the breeze.